veteran files a claim, he's eligible for $100 a month. He would not see a VA check for 10 months. 10 months times 100 is $1,000. After that, he or she would get a check for the rest of their lives. So anybody out there who had a severance pay, even if it was $50,000, $60,000, it behooves you to file that claim to get the ball rolling and the recoupment started. And the recoupment starts at the percentage you get. Now, we know from our experience, a lot of veterans who have injuries like arthritic problems in their knees later on in life will get worse. So the veteran can apply for an increase. They can get that increased part directly and not have the severance pay recoupment. So bottom line, if you got severance pay, get in and file a VA claim.
That's great. Well, thank you very much for that, Ray. We appreciate that. Wayne, I got a question for you. If somebody is 100% disabled, 100% disabled, and they decide, you know, there's certain things I can do, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go back to work. What happens if a veteran goes back to work after he's been qualified as 100% disabled by the VA?
If it's a truly 100% that he's getting from the VA for compensation for illnesses or injuries sustained in the military, he can still work. He'll still get his check. He can earn whatever other monies he can earn. However, some veterans reach their 100% through what's called individual unemployability. What this is the veteran reaches a certain point of VA compensation, and he may not be 100%, but he still may be unable to work. We may be able to get him this unemployability, which will bring him up to the 100% level. However, in that situation, if he goes out and gets another job, he loses that unemployability and reverts back to the 70%. So that's probably the situation that came up, this issue that you just asked about. If it's true compensation, 100%, you can hold any other job. If it's unemployability.
Classic example, Max Cleland, former Secretary of Veterans Affairs. He was in a wheelchair, lost his legs. He was 100%. He was the Secretary of the VA drawing his salary. So it's very important. I used to work with two blind veterans who were 100%, but they didn't want to sit around and do nothing at home. They went to work for the VA, and they were taking phone calls and answering questions and help filing claims. So it's absolutely possible to get your 100% and continue to work if you wish. In fact, the VA encourages that through its vocational rehabilitation program. They don't want veterans just sitting around drawing their check doing nothing. If they want to go out there and be productive members of society and get a job, the vocational rehabilitation program that the VA offers is fantastic. They will not only give you your monthly VA check, you'll get a stipend for going to school, they'll pay your books, your tuition, your fees, your supplies, the whole 9 yards. Fantastic.
That's wonderful. You know, the American Legion does a lot of things that most people don't realize. And these gentlemen with us today, you know, they're here. The American Legion makes sure that they're equipped with everything they need as close as they can. And the American Legion brings these people here to help veterans through the benefit, through the membership of the American Legion. You know, if you don't know anything about the American Legion, we're going to roll a clip here in just a minute, and it's going to give you a little crash course on what the American Legion does, because a lot of you people watching right now, a lot of you veterans have no idea what the American Legion does, so hopefully this can help you understand what it is we do and what we try and accomplish. It's the efforts of the American Legion that bring the professionals here to answer questions about the VA and help them with their claims. And take a look.
I've always appreciated the American Legion. My gratitude to the American Legion. Thank you all of the American Legion.
We have millions of veterans that are members of our organization. Thank you.
The American Legion. We serve America and its veterans. We pledge ourselves to our veterans, our youth, a strong national defense, and Americanism. These four pillars shape our work and what we do for America. There is power in our numbers. We're the largest organization of wartime veterans in the nation. We are 2.5 million members strong. men and women from every state in the nation and around the world. No other veterans organization wields this kind of power. We work relentlessly within our 4 pillars of service, and we succeed. The American Legion takes care of our fellow veterans and their families. We maintain close ties with Congress and the leaders in Washington, D.C. They respect us. They listen to us. We sponsor research and press for medical care and benefits for all veterans and active duty service members, whether they are members of the American Legion or not.
President Roosevelt signs G.I. Joe's Bill of Rights.
You've heard of the GI Bill of Rights, one of the most important pieces of social legislation of the 20th century. It was written and passed largely through the efforts of the American Legion. We were instrumental in the formation of what is now the Department of Veterans Affairs to make sure our veterans get the care and benefits they are promised and deserve. The young people of our nation are our future. They benefit from exceptional programs and generous scholarships that only the American Legion offers. We provide athletic programs like American Legion Junior Shooting Sports, Legion Baseball, and educational and civics programs like the Oratorical Scholarship Contest and Boys State and Boys Nation.
As Supreme Court Justice Hugo Black stated, the quality of justice that Americans receive should not depend upon the amount of money they have.
We promote citizenship and an appreciation of government. We have all been directly involved in our nation's defense as wartime veterans. We know what policies, tools, and manpower our military needs to protect this great country. We fight to get these things done.
We're all very grateful to have the American Legion on point.
We take our case all the way to the top in Washington, D.C. to ensure that America is prepared for any threat. We are patriots through and through. We believe in our flag and all that it stands for. Our Constitution, our Pledge of Allegiance, our way of life are all fundamental to maintaining our freedom and the standing that we have as the greatest country on earth. We promote and defend these values every day in communities across the nation. These pillars represent not just what we do, but who we are. We're here to serve our fellow veterans, their families, and all of America. We are here for them. We are here for you. The American Legion asks you to join us in our mission. If you share our vision and commitment to America, visit our website at legion.org or your nearest American Legion post today.
Welcome back. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of idea as to what the American Legion does. The American Legion membership, I mean, just in this area in Chicago where we are right now, 24,000 voting veterans that occupy Chicago right now. And if any of them are out there that are watching and you're not a member of the American Legion, I encourage you to learn more about it and hopefully join us in our quest of making lives better for veterans and their families. And you know, there's a lot of things that people don't know. And when you're dealing with the VA, it certainly is nice to have people that are knowledgeable that you can ask questions. For example, say, for example, if I was to be denied, I claimed the VA last year, 2 years ago, and they told me, no, your claim is denied. Does that mean I'm just SOL?
No, absolutely not. There's no time limit on reopening. You can do this at any time. One of the things you will need, however, to reopen a claim after it's been dormant for a while is new and material evidence. You can't come back to the VA after 2 years with the same thing you provided them before and expect them to do anything different. You'll still be denied. So you will need new and material evidence, but once you have that, you can reopen a claim at any time.
Also, with the technology that we have nowadays, especially Google, we've had veterans who were denied claims in the 70s and 80s because they couldn't locate a buddy that was in their unit or outfit to substantiate what happened. They go on Google, they type in their unit, they find web page after web page of the unit having reunions, people listing their name and email addresses, and all of a sudden, hey, that guy was with me when I got hit by that deuce and a half. Email him, get an affidavit, and go from there. So it's modern technology has made claim processing a lot easier. And as Wayne mentioned, new and material evidence is needed, but sometimes the laws change. The veteran who was denied lung cancer in the late 70s for Agent Orange, well, the law was changed by Congress. They come in now, they can get benefits because the law was changed.
We just had law change recently. There were 3 more conditions added to the list of presumptive conditions for Agent Orange.
I'm sorry, Wayne. Can you tell me what presumptive means? A lot of our viewers may not know what presumptive means.
Presumptive means that there are certain illnesses that the VA recognizes had a more frequent occurrence in the Vietnam veteran population than in the general population. So if a veteran becomes ill with one of these presumptive conditions, it's presumed it's due to exposure to Agent Orange while he served in Vietnam. And he doesn't have to have served a year, he doesn't have to have served 6 months. He has to have served at least 1 day in country, boots on the ground. For example, you got a guy from the Philippines, airplane mechanic. They send him TDY, temporary duty, to Vietnam to repair aircraft. He goes back to the Philippines after being in Vietnam for 3-4 days, and he develops, let's say, diabetes. That's a presumptive condition. He had 1 day, at least 1 day of boots on the ground in Vietnam. He's eligible for benefits. And as I started to mention, the laws changed recently to add 3 more presumptive conditions that weren't acknowledged previously, and that's Parkinson's disease, ischemic heart disease, also known as coronary artery disease, and basal cell leukemia, base cell leukemia, also known as hairy cell leukemia. So as Ray mentioned, the laws change. As things change, veterans can always reopen their claims for things that they were previously denied for.
And it's not just Vietnam vets and presumptive. ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, if you were in the service 90 days or more, no matter where you were stationed and develop ALS, you can file a claim now for presumptive VA service connection. The other classic example is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Most civilians, when they hear that term, they think, well, maybe he was in combat or she was a POW or whatever. That's true, but you can get PTSD from, like in my case, I was a MP in Berlin, Autobahn detail, saw a lot of dead bodies. Didn't affect me too bad. My coworker, horrible nightmares. He still suffers from PTSD. Nothing to do with Vietnam or POW or anything, but he or she suffers a traumatic event in service. They can file a claim even if it takes 30 years for it to manifest itself, because a lot of these veterans will bury the traumatic event inside themselves, not talk about it, and then later on some trigger, a helicopter going by or a car accident, brings back the flashbacks, and now they have PTSD.
And also for some of the non-combat veterans that develop PTSD, the laws have changed on that as well to make things a little easier for a veteran to get benefits for PTSD.
Now, if a veteran has a 100% service-related disability, can they still apply for Social Security benefits?
Absolutely. Social Security is a system based on the wages you paid on civilian jobs and some military time. The VA compensation is for the injury that happened in service. Many veterans can and do draw both benefits, and it's perfectly legal. In fact, we encourage veterans, when they're coming into our office, we say, well, besides your VA claim, which we'll handle today, you might want to consider Social Security disability, or some of the gentlemen or ladies might also be state employees or, in my case, federal employees. We tell them to go for their disability through the federal or state programs too. So absolutely, you can draw both. Now, the one exception, and there's always exception, Wayne mentioned earlier, non-service connected disability pension. That one, if you apply for Social Security, it'll be a dollar for dollar offset, because that's a need basis program. But service-connected vets can draw both.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We got a clip coming up, and it's basically some feedback from people that have used the American Legion's facilities and representation to get claims settled. And take a look.